Today, we are going to make some grass. No, I'm not in Colorado, so it's not going to be that kind of grass. It's our techniques that are so simple and sensible, your mowers have practically built themselves. Hello, folks. It's Mad Dog Merv. Welcome to today's show. I am binge watching, one of my favorite series, Supernatural. And for those of you who have never seen it, it's, like the title implies, it's about supernatural stuff. It has a really cool 67 Impala in it, and they play a lot of 80s, rock music. So, yeah, it's one of these series that I really like. Now, it's been going on for 15 years, and they finally ended the series, but the first 5 or 6 years were really good, and I was really into it, and so were some of my kids. I have a daughter who's really into Halloween and horror movies and, all of that kind of stuff. And I got this idea when they put out the 25th scale model of the car from the show about a year ago that, hey, I ought to build that and could give that to my daughter for birthday or Christmas one of these years. I thought that'd be a whole lot of fun. Well, this last year, Iceman Collections came up with some 25th scale figures. They're 3D printed of Sam and Dean Winchester, the two characters from the show. And I thought, oh, score. I'm going to have to build this and paint those up and give them to my daughter for her birthday, which is coming up. So, come along with me. We're going to look at how I painted this thing up, how I painted the figures, and how I got this display ready for my daughter's birthday. And stick with Mad Dog Merv as we look at the supernatural hero car called Baby. So the kit I'm going to use for this project, I picked it up about a year and a half ago, and I reviewed it. And if you want to check that out on the Kit Hoarder Stash, please do. It's a beautiful kit of a four-door 67 Chevy Impala. And the quality of the kit, I think, is very, very good, especially for AMT. It's molded in black, so we're going to get started on this thing. And looking at the body, I thought, wow, I could prime this and things could go wrong. And then I could spray it and things could go wrong. I'm going to try something a little different than I did on Dom's Charger, or Dom's GTX, I should say. And all I'm going to use is some gloss coat lacquer from Testors, the 1161. Now, I've done this technique before, and I actually really like this technique. So here's a new one. I'm going to mix this with some lacquer thinner, 2 parts lacquer thinner to maybe 1 part of the gloss coat lacquer, and I'm going to drop in just a drop of this gloss black 1147, and I mean just a drop. And we'll show you how the body turned out here in a few minutes. So the engine, I go ahead and put it together, and it's this beautiful 427 big block, which the 4-door, I don't know if it ever had it or not, but certainly the movie car was a 327, not a 427. So I'll keep this for another project, and I'm going to need a 327 67 vintage. So I go to my old Pro AMT kit because I know it's got a couple of engines in it, and one of them is this 454 race engine, but it has a 350 in it, a stock 350, and that'll be a great starting point for what I'm going to do. So I need to make it look like a 67, which the heads are a little bit different. They're drilled differently. The alternator's on a different side than the 68s and on. And instead of having the breather, the oil breather in the middle, which is what it should have, I decided to delete that and do the oil breathers on the valve cover. But other than that, it can kind of pass for a 67 327. I went ahead and put a tri-power on it, even though in the movie it only has a 4-barrel. I thought, yeah, we'll go ahead and try that. So for the interior, I just took some X22 clear and sprayed the seats with that, because actually they look really, really good and just need a nice protective coating on them. I took some like armor sand of some sort, some just kind of a sandy tan color to spray the rest of the interior. And the seats, of course, are black. You can see the dashboard there. I've got the chrome on it and all that kind of fun stuff. Now I'm moving to the rear tailpiece, where you can see the blacked out area I've done. You can also see the turn signal amber, the white backup lights, the bumper guards, all that kind of fun stuff. Now with this kit, when you put the body onto the chassis, it doesn't fit worth 10 pounds of sour apple, which really surprised me because the rest of this kit fits so well and was engineered pretty well. Anyway, you can see here where I've used some sprue goo and I had to use an elastic to hold the frame to the body. And you can see here behind the tire area where I tried to do the same thing. And it just, it fit fair after I forced it, but the interior parts didn't fit very well at all. We'll look at that here in a few minutes. So Iceman Collections puts out a 3D printed version in 25th scale of Sam and Dean Winchester. I bought these back in January. They're his figures. You've seen some of the work before in the Santa Claus and his naughty elf that I did at Christmas time. Does some very good 3D printed figures. So let's go over the paints that I'm going to use. The figure paint set from AK, their 3rd generation flesh and skin. Mostly I use the base flesh, and that shadow flesh that's right in the middle, kind of a reddish mauve color. You'll see where I use that. I use it for a lot of things besides figures. Anyway, I'm going to take some Mission Models white primer, black primer, and some Radone tan, and I'm going to mix this up in some different shades to do some of the things I need to do on these figures. And I figure for his leather jacket, his leather coat, I'm going to use a NATO brown and throw a little bit of flat black in there. Okay, so those are the colors I'm going to use. To prep, I'm going to take some Mr. Color Thinner, and I'm going to use Mr. Primer Surfacer 1000 and go ahead and spray both figures with this. It's great for these resin figures and prepping them and priming them for paint. So the barrel of the shotgun broke off on this. Problem with 3D printing is very brittle, so I used a piece of brass, got that on there, went ahead and started with painting the face colors. Now, I know it looks weird at first, and it'll get better as it goes. The arms here, we've got a couple of different tones here to kind of make his muscles pop. That one shadow tint that I said is kind of a mauve color works out great for a shirt. I mixed up some of the black and white for Mission Models to do the black pants here on Sam, and you can see his face is coming along, but this is not the finished product by any stretch of the imagination. So anyway, got his pants done, got his shirt done, most of his face and arms. Now I need to move to his hair. Here you can see I've got some touch up to do on the leather. His gray shirt and then the black t-shirt underneath. Went ahead and did his hair with a gloss black and then some flat black highlights. With Sam here, I've done kind of a brown tint to that black, again with some lighter brown highlights. On Dean, I went ahead and found a nice like panzer green, added some black, and went ahead and did his trousers in kind of a dark green color. Now I'm going to go ahead and spray them both with this flat clear because they are just way too shiny. And you can see here in the picture how shiny they've turned out with some of the other paints and clear coats that I've put on here to protect everything. For the Colt that he's carrying, I just painted that with a Tamiya gunmetal and have gone over with some Molotow chrome in a few areas, and we're going to flatten these guys out and you'll see how they look here in just a moment. So a little bit of blending of the colors of the arms and the face, just a little bit. The flat dull coat on here by Tamiya, and I think he looks pretty good. And here you go. Still a bit of definition in the colors, but I think these are going to work, especially for what I'm doing here for my daughter's birthday. Now, the sigil that's here on the base actually comes in the kit decals, and if you want to open up the trunk, that would be really cool. But I didn't have time to get the trunk open before I needed to have this thing done. So I just went ahead and put it on the base. Here we are, hood closed, which is how this is going to be displayed. You see how the paint turned out? Pretty good. I didn't have to wet sand this at all. And let's take a good look at it as we go around. Now, the one problem with black is every piece of dust that's everywhere, it gets picked up, so I have to constantly dust this thing off. It's pretty crazy that way. The grill, went ahead and blacked out these areas on the grill that really, a photo etch grill would have been great. Anyway, and with the rims, I went ahead and gave them a black wash of Larry's bath water to kind of help tone them down, but also give them a little more definition. You can see the interior there, and in some of the shots you can see that the interior panels don't come all the way up to the window, which is unfortunate. That's part of that bad engineering. Anyway, went ahead and put an antenna on it because it needs an antenna and doesn't come in the kit, so I did that. That paint I think turned out pretty good, and again, very simple, just the gloss coat lacquer with just a drop of black airbrushed on there, and it turned out really well. All right, folks, and here we are with the display case on it, ready to throw it in some wrapping paper and get it to my daughter. Well, thanks for joining us. I hope you guys like this. Take care.